came over on slave ships, but we're in the same ship right now. I mean, the inflation numbers from the government now exceed 4%. And of course, that's last month's numbers. It doesn't calculate what this month's numbers are, and they could not have improved given that the Department of Labor is releasing the statistics not in real time. Affordability issues are still front and center. And so, to Reverend's point, and to your point, and to the comedian's point, we really are in the same boat. We are paying the same amount for gas that we were paying 3 months ago, or even higher. And so, yes, there is something to be said about the common ground that we're experiencing at this hour. Hey, the Supreme Court is really, really busy also at this hour. And so there are a couple of Supreme Court decisions when we come forward that I'd like to cover and get your initial thoughts on, because we are definitely in the same boat on the decisions that the Supreme Court of the United States makes. We are waiting for the birthright citizenship decision. We are waiting for the decision on transgendered issues, but there are 3 that have already been decided and released today. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More conversation with the T, but when we come forward, right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. 5 years old, yeah, with more that's coming your way. Congratulations, come on, y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA. Look, 5 years deep and we still going up. Built it from the ground, now the real knowing us. Real talk on the air, then the truth get heard. Every day the proof getting served. He had a vision and he stayed with the plan. Now they tapped in from the beach to the land. Never back down, 7 days of the week, still going up now. We 5 years deep. Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. Happy smiling, you did it with 5 years today. Congratulations, come on y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're all in the same boat, whether you came over on a Pilgrim or the Mayflower or the Anna Marina Pinta or whatever it was called back in the day when I learned about it in the 3rd grade. And they put no emphasis at all on the slave ship and how we got here in the United States. The Supreme Court is busy in our brand new boat. The Supreme Court issued major decisions, several of them, 6-3 ideologically divided decisions, expanding executive immigration power, striking down gun control laws, and limiting SEC actions, while remaining poised to rule on highly anticipated cases regarding birthright citizenship, transgender athletes, and executive removal protections. Let's start with immigration and deportation. In a pair of rulings, the court allowed the Trump administration to end temporary protected status, yes, for hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Haiti and Syria. The court also ruled that border officials can turn away asylum seekers who are waiting in Mexico, establishing that non-citizens, quote, arrive, quote, in the United States only when they physically are on U.S. soil. Your initial thoughts, Atiba, about the immigration decision by the Supreme Court of the United States?
We need an echo chamber. And that's all of us talking about this at the same time. But, you know, in terms of the decisions, they sadden me and they concern me. You know, the questions I think they're continuing to arise with all these issues, Jesse, that keep coming up is, what do we do? And it's a part of the reason why, you know, week in and week out, I continue to say we have to focus on the elections, because even that right now, in terms of the direction that we're seeing right now, it's just a really sad day to see the things that are happening are not just about how they're affecting people. It's really also about how it's weakening us and our standing in the country.
You know, I think it's interesting that, at least from my perspective, over the last 3 decades, the Haitian people and the Syrians, don't forget my father went to Syria and I was with him when we helped free Lieutenant Robert Goodman from the Assad regime within Syria. They have experienced oppression. Their refugee status has been recognized around the world by the United Nations and other countries around the world as legitimate refugees. And I find it somewhat interesting, Atiba, that the U.S. government has isolated the Haitians and the Syrians, of course, Black and brown people, for no longer having the same temporary protected status that, let's say, for example, literally the thousands of South Africans who are Afrikaners, more specifically, white South Africans, who are being allowed into the United States, arguing somehow that they are being discriminated against in South Africa, when in effect and in actuality, in the South African Constitution, they have a protected status as minorities within the country itself.
Jesse, first off, I could just say, you know, there's just so many different things we could check off the box in terms of what this is. Whether that is Haiti or Syria, there's not one of us that's in this country that cannot trace our origins to another country. And we saw in the 90s and 80s front and center, you know, things about South Africa. In our lifetime, though, there were things that were going on long before that. I wish that I had more to say on this. I mean, there are those times when I can say that I can be speechless, and this is just one of them.
I appreciate that. I'm 61 years old, and I'm old enough to remember Papa Doc, Baby Doc, and the U.S. role in keeping that tyrannical regime in place in Haiti. I remember Jean-Bertrand Aristide having dinner around my family table here in Chicago. So I'm really, really wed to what has been taking place, the gangs that have taken over Haiti, some of the natural disasters that they have experienced. And I don't think anyone on planet Earth cannot deny the fact that Syria as refugees, or refugees who yearn to breathe free. Let me move on to the next case. On the Second Amendment, the court struck down Hawaii's law that required gun owners to explicitly obtain permission from property owners before bringing firearms onto private, public-facing property, ruling it an unconstitutional burden on the Second Amendment. I take that to mean that if you have a right to have concealed carry permits, that you can take your gun, concealed and carry, into a private business establishment without having to notify the owner that you are armed, which, at least from my perspective, if, for example, you hire a private security guard at your business establishment, and that's at many business establishments throughout the country, these private owners are saying, we don't want guns, and there's usually a sticker on the window or the door of the private establishment, no firearms are allowed. Increasingly, as a result of that decision, I know some blue states are going to fight back. You're going to start seeing those signs come down because the Supreme Court is going to fight for, has issued a uniform decision that if you are a concealed carry permit holder, you don't have to share with the private business owner that you're bringing a weapon into establishment. That, for me, is troubling.
Yeah, it's very troubling. All of it, anything for me that concerns with guns is concerning. And I'll say there was an incident here a couple of weeks ago. It may have been last week, Jesse, where a pretty big, muscular dude had a gun, and people in the feeds were saying, "Oh, steroids gone wrong," something to that extent. But he held down a man and told him and acted as if he was the police, deranged. The only thing that saved, I think, this man's life was that there was someone in the car, and I can't still haven't been able to figure out if they were all together, but who had a gun in his back, in the back of his car, who pulled the gun on that guy, and that was the only thing that caused the situation to de-escalate. So many different things that unwrapped in that. One, people say the only way to stop a person with a gun is another person with a gun. That's what the NRA likes to say. But the reality is none of this happens if neither one of them had a gun. And so now we're talking about going into a business or somebody's business with a gun and not announcing that you have a gun. Imagine somebody bumps into somebody the wrong way and they take that the wrong way. Do they pull a gun? And by the way, let me go back. All of the other part escalated because someone clipped somebody's car. So anyway, I'm just, in terms of with the gun piece, in terms of America, we know that there are over 200 million guns that are out there. And I think actually it may be more than 300 million, but not everybody's a gun owner. So there's a lot of guns out there, and there's a lot of, I think, unfortunate things that can come about as a result of what happened in Hawaii. I know that was Hawaii, but in terms of speaking for gun rights around the country, it's a very scary time. And because there's a lot of anger and a lot of frustration out there, and a lot of people that will be irresponsible with those guns.
I got to filter it, of course, through my own reality as a Black man and here on KBLA Talk 15A. Listen, if you have the right to conceal and carry, hey, I get it. You've gone through the certification process. You've gotten the permit from the proper jurisdictions, yada, yada, yada. But if you're Black and you're in someone's private business and you're concealed carry and you're not law enforcement, oh man, I got to put my Negro instinct has to go kind of like high, like any Karen can say he's got a gun. They didn't read the Supreme Court decision, or the owner could overreact, or anything could go south. And yes, I get the point about the deranged individual under that circumstances, but I just got to filter that one through Negroisms. Let me move to the pending decisions, which are going to be blockbusters.
Before that, though, Jesse, can I add one thing though?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Because over the last week, I've been watching Eyes on the Prize, and I'm on some episodes now where your father appears. But one of the things that really comes to mind is the Black Panthers, and how Black Panthers carrying guns changed the trajectory of the way that some things were going on. Unfortunately, there were some things that happened where we saw innocent men killed but in terms of the conversation that the Black Panthers brought about, to me, there are so many different things too that I hope that we can at some point go back to and talk about, whether or not it's on this show or in the future, about what was going on then, because there were some hot summers back then, and it feels like this summer is heating up to be at least rhyme somewhat like those summers did back in the mid to late 60s and early 70s.
We'll do that in the not too distant future. A direct challenge to the Trump administration's executive order attempting to limit automatic citizenship for children in the United States if neither parent is a citizen or lawful permanent resident. The birthright citizenship case is expected to be released. I don't know if it's happening today or if it's tomorrow or if it's sometime on Monday, but certainly before the conclusion of the term. Your thoughts on the difficult decision? Remember, I think this is also the case where Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, literally sat in the chamber of the Supreme Court when the arguments were made, which was an unprecedented act. Historically, the separation of powers, he stays over there in the White House and the courts over here and the Congress and the Senate are over here, but presidents rarely, if ever, I think it's been 100 years since a president showed up to hear a Supreme Court argument. Your thoughts, Atiba, on whether or not someone who's born in the United States has the same protected status as citizenship as those of us who were the first beneficiaries of the establishment of citizenship, African Americans, the African American slave, after the adoption of the 14th Amendment.
Yeah, and I was about to say the 14th Amendment because we know that all this is an affront and an attack on the 14th Amendment. It's all, you can try to gloss it over or whatever. That's what this is about. And in order for them to be able to push their agenda, then they have to have something to point toward that's the enemy. And so right now it's immigration. And, once they get past that, it's a full-on assault and direct to us. So, again, I'm going to go back to, and I'm going to say the date, November 3rd, 2026. And in terms of the need for us to remember to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome, make sure that each one takes one. And I'm saying this because there are things now that are also going on. We're looking at these decisions, but there's also things that are going on in the Congress. And there's so many different things that are going on that is like makes you just want to put your hands to your head and say, and that's the plan, is to keep our attention diverted from the other pieces. And just overall, in terms of with the birthright piece, when you think about us as descendants of slaves, and you think about our ancestors and what they endured and what they had to go through to even wait for a 14th Amendment, that today we have certain things that are at our disposal. And I just keep saying we can keep talking about the problems, or we can figure out what to do, and we can keep the receipts, and we can make sure that we don't forget, because we have an opportunity to get back to power, and it's not going to come back without a demand. It's not going to come back without a push and without a strong effort that's going to take us building coalitions with others. But that when we do get that power back, that is so important for us to pay attention and remember not only the things that we need to fix, but the things that we need to put in place so that this doesn't happen again.
I actually do think, Atiba, that these issues matter in November of 2026. I mean, birthright citizenship is going to be on the ballot because some candidates are going to be for whatever the Supreme Court says today or against it. Just as I believe that the pair of cases, West Virginia versus BPJ and Little versus Hickox, regarding state bans on transgender women competing in school sports, is also going to be on the ballot on November 3rd. And when the decision is reached within the next day or so, or maybe the next 2 days, it's quite likely what candidates think, how they feel about these issues, and how they articulate them, how they run their commercials and advertisement, are going to be on the November 3rd ballot. And I can share with you this: I campaigned in Pennsylvania, and when I saw the transgender commercials run by the other side, and then seeing Democrats and liberals and others try and defend it, whatever you felt about Donald Trump and whatever you felt about authoritarianism, the reaction was nothing short of stunning and paralyzing to see that suddenly the football game, the playoffs didn't matter. What mattered was I do not want my daughter playing basketball against a guy or a transgendered athlete who might be 6'2" dunking on my child. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're in conversation with Atiba. More when we come forward right here on KBLA.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. The Supreme Court is allowing President Trump to do as he pleases with regard to major immigration cases. Today, the High Court ruled that the president can restart the policy that turns away asylum seekers before they even make it to the U.S. The Supreme Court also ruled in the president's favor when it comes to putting an end to the temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians. The death toll is rising in Venezuela after two strong back-to-back earthquakes hit the country yesterday. The quakes were 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude, respectively. Reportedly, more than 160 people are dead, with that number expected to rise as rescue efforts continue, with people trapped under collapsed homes and buildings. Close to 1,000 people are reported injured. Stay with the Black Information Network as we continue to update you on this story. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the free iHeartRadio app.
Wild Rivers is now open daily with over 25 slides and attractions for thrill seekers and lazy river chillers. Visit wildrivers.com for great values on season passes and daily tickets. That's wildrivers.com. Wild Rivers, where there's sun and fun for everyone.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
SoFi Stadium in Inglewood will be jumping tonight. The U.S. men's soccer team is back in action in the World Cup. The U.S. takes on Turkey. Start time 7 p.m. This is more of a tune-up match for the U.S. At 2-0, they've already qualified for the knockout round, the round of 32. Live coverage tonight on Fox Sports or Telemundo. The Dodgers have the best record in Major League Baseball after sweeping a 3-game series against the Twins in Minnesota. The Dodgers' 4-3 win put them at 52-29. Dodgers shortstop Mookie Betts hit his 300th career home run. The Dodgers are off today. They start a 3-game series Friday night in San Diego. Venus and Serena Williams will learn their opponents at Wimbledon on Friday when the pairings are announced. Venus and Serena are playing doubles together. Serena is also in the singles competition. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Number 14. That's where Talkers Magazine ranked Tavis Smiley on their heavy 100 list of the 100 most important talk radio hosts in America. Join Tavis weekdays, 9 a.m. to noon or 9 p.m. to midnight. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We got to laugh the pain away.
Join Chris Spencer and Friends live. Chris Spencer and Friends take the stage Saturday, July 12th, 5:30 p.m. at the Alex Theater for Stand Up for Students, a night of comedy benefiting Pasadena Rosebud Academy. Pasadena Rosebud Academy was lost in the Altadena Eaton fire. For over 20 years, they held our kids down. Now it's time for us to hold them up. Chris Spencer and Friends, featuring Reg Thomas, Felicia Folks, Chase Anthony, and Jesus Trejo, with DJ Aisha Irene on the music. One night, big laughs, real community. Join James Farr of KBLA Talk 1580 and be part of a night where laughter meets purpose. Chris Spencer and Friends, Stand Up for Students, Saturday, July 12th at 5:30 p.m. Tickets at the Alex Theater box office and the Alex Theater website at www.thealex.com. TheAlex.com. Chris Spencer and Friends. Don't miss it.
We got to laugh the pain away.
You know him, you trust him, and now the whole nation is taking notice. Talkers Magazine the Bible of talk radio, has ranked Tavis Smiley number 14 on their prestigious Heavy 100 list. 100 voices, the most important in all of talk radio. Tavis has moved from number 45 to number 33 to number 16, and now he's in the top 15, right here on your station. His is one of the most trusted, credible, and reliable voices in broadcast media today. Straight, no chaser, always. Tavis brings you the conversations that matter, the newsmakers, the truth tellers, the voices that don't get heard anywhere else. Weekdays on this station. This is what it sounds like when your community has a seat at the table.
Let's do this.
We're heading into one of the most important election seasons in a generation. And with so much on the line, your healthcare, your economy, your neighborhood, you deserve more than sound bites. You deserve the full story. KBLA Talk 1580 is your trusted voice for political coverage, commentary, and conversation. From local races to national headlines, we bring you the insight and perspective you need to make sense of it all and make your voice heard. Between now and November, a lot will happen. A lot will change. But one thing won't. KBLA Talk 1580 will be right here, keeping you informed, keeping you engaged, and keeping it real. KBLA Talk 1580, the place for politics.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2026 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
When disasters hit and cell networks fail, Rapid Radios keeps you connected. Instant push-to-talk with coast-to-coast range. No contracts, no monthly bills. Trusted by law enforcement, government agencies, and over 500,000 users. Always ready when your phone isn't. Because in an emergency, seconds matter, and reliability isn't optional. Go to rapidradios.com. Use code RADIO for 5% off and free shipping from Michigan. Rapid Radios. Communication redefined.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Polly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Thought-Provoking Thursday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and we are in conversation with Atiba, former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse's good to be here.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Atiba. Listen, I grew up in Chicago, and I grew up around big Democratic Party political machines like the Richard J. Daley machine and even the Richard M. Daley machine. And Harold Washington was trying to build a little machine himself before he tragically died after his first term as mayor of the city of Chicago. What could have been is just left to our imagination. But what I saw this past week in New York with Mamdani, which is raising all of the hairs on the back of the Democratic establishment, was the newly elected mayor, Mr. Mamdani, Mayor Mamdani, was very successful in a number of campaigns. And this issue of his progressive Democratic Socialists of America who were successful in these campaigns has begun a conversation within the Democratic Party, one about the possibility out of New York of a big city Democratic machine and its influence on national Democratic politics. And now, as a result, not only of the local election within the state of New York, they are now, the media is looking at other races where these candidates are running to see what the impact of the Mamdani influence is on those campaigns. I can't think of anybody who's been more involved in these types of campaigns around the country. Mamdani's leadership, from my perspective, Atiba, is something that has to be taken into account and cannot be ignored.
Yeah, and the last time we had that I can recall there being such a big um, issue within the Democratic Party was in 2016 with Bernie and Hillary. And there were a lot of establishment Democrats that were crying foul with Bernie, and his movement has continued to escalate and grow. And I think Democrats, particularly establishment Democrats, are are either one going to have to quickly figure out how to recognize that the issues of today are really strongly about affordability, and that the issues that Mamdani and others around the country who are calling themselves democratic socialists are touching in on, that are everyday kitchen table issues that Democrats have not talked about. And when you talk about costs, you started off by talking about the gas prices are the same. Inflation today, they just announced, is up 4.1%. It's the highest since in 3 years. And these issues that they're talking about, rent, mortgage, these are just all issues that are affecting everyone. Just like the comedians start with that you showed the clip for in the beginning talked about. We all broke, we all poor, and those are the issues that they're talking about.
Do you envision that there could be some kind of showdown between the centrists within the Democratic Party and the progressive wing led by the Sanders forces? Now, Bernie, for most of my public life and public career, has been, an ideological, very thoughtful, served with him in the Congress of the United States before he became a United States Senator. He was supportive of my father, I think in 1988, his campaign for president of the United States. But I'm wondering if there's a showdown or a feud brewing between the Generation Z and X and even some of the millennials who support the progressive wing of the Democratic Party versus, let's say, the Dan Goldmans and many who have been supported by AIPAC in the direction of kind of Rahm Emanuel centrism that could manifest itself in the form of a irreparable division within the Democratic Party as both wings of the party fight for its control.
This is a good time for a national town hall. And I don't know who would lead it. I don't know who would do it. And I'm going to go back to Senator Sanders, because he was the one who talked about student loans and really made a strong push to relieve young people of those student loan debts. And we saw a change in a lot of that happened in 2024 with the last election. But Democrats, the issues today that we'll speak to, and the reason why I believe the president won in 2016 and in 2024 is because he at least talked about the economy. And people felt like, well, we need somebody who's going to break through this stuff and do something different and speak to me. Whether we agree with that or not, especially in 2016, I think that was the message that resonated. And when people I've talked to talk about 2016, who were Bernie folks, a lot of them, or more than we recognize, turned and voted for the current president because they felt that Hillary didn't speak to their issues and that Bernie did. And so, the conversation in terms of where we are and where the party is and where the Democratic Party is and which direction it's going to go, if we don't listen to young people, if we don't pay attention to what is going on, they're the ones who voted in New York. They're the ones who voted in DC. They're the ones who are voting in California. They're the ones who are voting in Michigan. And they are, I think you could say, sick and tired of being broke. And they don't see, if you're not speaking to their issues, if you're thinking like, hey, the traditional route to wealth is not there for them. and they're going to vote for somebody who's going to speak to their issues because they deserve to deserve that if we want them to vote.
I believe, and I certainly support everything that you've said. I believe that the Democratic Party and the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party is stronger today than it has ever been. In fact, there's very, very little doubt in my mind that my dad would be a big supporter of Mom Donnie's efforts. My dad flirted with democratic socialism, but I don't think he liked the term being referred to as a socialist. But he, as his Christian mandate, he had an obligation and responsibility to share with all Americans that they deserve health care, that they deserve the right to a decent, safe, and affordable housing, that they have a right to a clean, safe, and sustainable environment, including breathing fresh air and drinking clean water. These are called democratic socialist positions in the American context, but these are very Christian moral values that while this may not be an overtly Christian movement, it is a movement within the Democratic Party that says the least of these matter, that people whose backs are against the wall, whether they are red, yellow, brown, black, or white, striped, or got polka dots, are entitled to equal protection under the laws. And we can't allow this kind of skewing towards a wealth-based society for a few at the top, while the rest of us are left without. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're in conversation with Atiba. More on K 5th anniversary when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. 5 years old, yeah, with more that's coming your way. Congratulations, come on, y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA. Look, 5 years deep and we still going up. Built it from the ground, never real, no one else. Real talk on the air, then the truth get heard. Every day the proof getting served. He had a vision and he stayed with the plan. Now they tapped in from the beach to the land. Never back down, 7 days of the week, still going up now. We 5 years deep. Wishing happy birthday to KBLA. Happy smiling, you did it with 5 years today. Congratulations, come on y'all, let's celebrate. Happy birthday to KBLA.
Gas prices got you down. LADWP customers get a rebate of up to $4,000 when you buy a used electric or plug-in hybrid vehicle. Installing an EV charger at your home? Get a rebate for that too, up to $1,500. Visit ladwp.com/EV today and start saving. That's ladwp.com/EV. Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
You've got to try the new TikTok diet.
Just ask Chat.
I just take blue-green algae.
You just have to eat kale. Kale.
I read you should put butter in your coffee.
Or you could trust your gut. When it comes to your energy, digestion, and overall health, how do you know what's actually right for you? That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to show what's going on inside you right now. Not trends, not guesses, your biology. With your results, Viome gives you clear, personalized, actionable guidance. Which foods help you, which ones don't, and which supplements your body actually can benefit from. All based on the world's largest gut health databases and thousands of clinical research studies. Many people who use Viome report better digestion, more energy, and an improved mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing.
And maybe still eat the kale?
Maybe. Learn more at viome.com/know. V as in Victor, IOME.com/KNOW. And use coupon code VIOME50 to save $50 off your purchase.
And eat everything blue.
No.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The midterm elections are upon us. It is voting season once again. Common Cause's motto is fighting for the democracy we deserve. In service of that goal, Common Cause puts its state and national policy expertise massive network of grassroots supporters, and nonpartisan approach into action to strengthen our democracy against the challenges we face today. They work at every level of government on priorities that impact each of our lives, like defending the right to vote, limiting big money's influence on our elections, holding public officials accountable, and more. Common Cause is a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to upholding the core values of American democracy. They seek to empower all people to make their voices heard in the political process. This election may be the most important one ever. If you'd like to make a donation or volunteer in service to the Constitution, please visit commoncause.org. That's commoncause.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Getting around LA doesn't have to cost a lot. Metro has fares that fit every budget. 20 free rides for qualified riders through the Life Fare program. Free passes for students with GoPass and affordable options for everyone in between. Wherever you're going, Metro's got you covered. Visit metro.net/fare programs.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Thought Provoking Thursday, and we are in conversation with Atiba in the next hour, of course. Dr. Johnny Mack will be in the World House right here at the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Atiba, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse's always good to be with you.
Atiba, I am particularly struck because the Supreme Court right now is considering a case given to remind people about how midterms matter, and in fact, midterms effing matter. .com is your website. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the Supreme Court right now is considering a case, Watson versus Republican National Committee, regarding the counting of mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. The legal arguments involve whether a federal law establishing a single election day requires all ballots to be received by that date, which could potentially affect policies allowing grace periods for mail-in ballots in some states and in Washington, D.C. I could go on and on and on about the core of the dispute. So much of our efforts in the midterm, and for those who don't have easy access to polling locations, particularly the handicapped, the disabled, people who live in far rural areas from polling places. Some people have to drive 20 miles just to vote once. Some people have to drive 20 miles in another direction to register, and then another 20 miles in a different direction to actually vote at their local polling place. That's the nature of rural America. And so, of course, mail-in ballots have been a factor in elections. Atiba, any concern about the impact of a decision by the Supreme Court in this term that could affect the outcome of November 3rd, 2026?
Yeah, all of it is concerning. But, the late Congressman John Lewis, I'm reading his book, Walking with the Wind, and he wrote in my book to me, Atiba, with faith and hope, keep your eyes on the prize. And I truly believe that we do have to have faith and hope, but we also have to put action and work into it the same way that they did to give us the right to vote. And in terms of, the Postmaster General just issued saying that they're not going to mail. I think it was in blue states. I can't recall, but it's something in terms of with mail-in ballots. So we know that there is a concerted effort to make it harder, not easier to vote. And I said in the beginning of the show, echo chamber, that it's up to us to figure out simple, repeatable messages that we can continue to try to say to inspire and to move people to vote. And each one take one. If you have a car, make sure that your neighbor, your family, everyone has a ride to go and vote. If you are disabled, it's one of the things with the Midterms Effing Matter project that we have going on, is that we hope to raise money to be able to do things with content and social media, et cetera, to inspire people to vote. But we also hope to partner with others and help them and provide what we can to them to help people who are disabled and seniors to get to places where they can vote. Because this election in particular, I am concerned about mail-in ballots. I'm concerned about voting in general. But I think that we may have to go back to some of our old ways of doing things to make sure that we ensure that we vote and that our votes are counted. And that includes volunteering at your voting precinct. It means getting involved on campaigns. This is an election that none of us can afford to sit out, not just not voting. We have to be as involved as possible with this and recognize we have to build coalitions. It's not just about the Black vote, it's about the American vote. And that we've got to figure out ways that we're going to vote in this election in numbers that are too large to manipulate the outcome.
And I agree with that. But to the point, the moment that I turn in a tax return or mail in a tax return, if I'm not accurate to the best of my ability, that's mail fraud. May or may not have anything to do with the tax violation. But if I submit a formal government document by way of the mailbox down the street from my house with the stamp on it, you touch the U.S. government at that point, and it's mail fraud. But if a person casts a ballot that arrives before Election Day or is sent on Election Day but arrives 2 days later, the question is, when the government through the mailbox, when I put the mail in the mailbox, received the ballot, how is it that you cannot say that when I cast my ballot that the government has weakened the mailbox rule when it comes to democracy, but it strengthens it on other criminal penalties if in fact I touch the mailbox with my ballot or with a threat to the president of the United States or a threat to a member of Congress? One of the charges is mail fraud. One of the charges is violating the mailbox. And the mailbox is protected by the Constitution of the United States. The United States Postal Service is written into the Constitution of the United States. And from my perspective, any tampering with the ability to cast a ballot, maybe not at a polling place, but to the mailbox, we live in a democratic republic that intends to count every voter, whether it's a voter from Hawaii, a voter who happens to be an American in Japan or in China, who's American abroad. By the time their ballots are brought back to the United States, their vote must count. That's kind of where I am on that, Atiba.
No, but I agree with all of that, Jesse. But I also recognize that, back in the day when our teams played against other teams and the referees called a foul that wasn't a foul, they still had to figure out how to win. And my focus right now is how to win and how to win big. And that's the reason why I keep talking about things like hope. That's why I keep trying to talk about things like love. That's why I keep trying to talk about things like having some fun with this. Is like we've got to figure out all the things that we can do that are necessary to inspire each other, to each one take one and to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome so that we can win, keep the receipts, because we got to have a lot of work to do once we get the power back.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We've been in conversation with Atiba. Atiba, can't wait to see you next week. Looking forward to it then. When we come forward, Johnny Mack will be in the World House with Johnny Mack right here at KBLA Talk 1580 in just a moment.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Island with BIN News Now. The Supreme Court is allowing President Trump to do as he pleases with regard to major immigration cases. Today, the High Court ruled that the president can restart the policy that turns away asylum seekers before they even make it to the U.S. The Supreme Court also ruled in the president's favor when it comes to putting an end to the temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians. The death toll is rising in Venezuela after two strong back-to-back earthquakes hit the country yesterday. The quakes were 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude, respectively. Reportedly, more than 160 people are dead, with that number expected to rise as rescue efforts continue, with people trapped under collapsed homes and buildings. Close to 1,000 people are reported injured. Stay with the Black Information Network as we continue to update you on this story. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the free iHeartRadio app.
Wild Rivers is now open daily with over 25 slides and attractions for thrill seekers and lazy river chillers. Visit wildrivers.com for great values on season passes and daily tickets. That's wildrivers.com. Wild Rivers, where there's sun and fun for everyone.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
For the 14th straight year, no HBCU players were selected in the NBA draft. The two-day, two-round draft ended Wednesday night in Brooklyn. The last HBCU player drafted by an NBA team was Norfolk State guard Kyle O'Quinn. O'Quinn was a second-round pick of the Orlando Magic in 2012. There is one positive development for HBCUs regarding the NBA. Thursday morning, the Denver Nuggets signed Tennessee State guard Aaron Nkrumah to a free agent contract. Nkrumah, the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year, was rated as the best HBCU prospect heading into the draft. Nkrumah was projected as a possible second-round pick. He was on the draft board of several NBA teams, but was not selected. In his senior season at Tennessee State, Nkrumah averaged 17.7 points, 3 assists, and 2.8 steals. Nkrumah will play with Denver's rookie team in the Las Vegas Summer League in July. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Some interesting developments as it relates to Destination Crenshaw, or Procrastination Crenshaw, as it's known around these parts. So just north of us on Crenshaw Boulevard in the 10th Council District, there's a black-owned restaurant called The District. Apparently, the restaurant is in some sort of legal dispute with the landlord, and it's gotten pretty ugly. So ugly, in fact, that the 3 black members of the LA City Council recorded a video in support of the restaurant, which is now circulating online. You might have seen it by now. To be clear, here at KBLA, we have nothing but love for Council members Heather Hutt and Curran D. Price Jr., who have been real champions for this particular black-owned